Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to Elite Raceway. And I don't know if you can tell I'm smiling because it is raining here for round 11 for NOSA's Division 2. And boy, are they in for a qualifying session already. Oh man, so from what I can tell, it is going to be a wet qualifying session, but a dry race. So pretty much the same weather we had with our NOSA's Division 1 group. Uh, but yes, everybody, big welcome if you're tuning in for the first time. Hope you enjoy our racing. And for those who are returning back for another stream, we love the support. So yeah, it should be a really good race. We have at the moment 17 drivers on the grid. One having trouble joining, so hopefully, yeah, and one of our new drivers, Feed Me Scotch. Hopefully, he is able to. Oh, well, that explains it. His crossplay is disabled, so okay. All right, no problem, Scotch. So hopefully you are able to join in. That explains quite well what is happening. But yeah, I already see a couple of our drivers already on the live chat. So let me just take a quick look at that. And actually, let me just also post up the stream on the race. Give me one good second. Feed me scotch. That's actually something we should have asked first. So I do apologize for that too. Two. Alrighty, so yes, this is round 11 out of 12. This is our penultimate race of the season, and boy, what a season it has been so far. Division 2, actually our first group to already announce its championship winner, and that is going to be Atron, who is currently actually putting in a lap, so we'll keep an eye on him briefly. But Atron, who's had a phenomenal season, has been with us for over a season and a half. Started in Tier 2, then Division 2, and now for this season, winning it all. So big congratulations to him. We have two more races, this one and next week in China. So yeah, still plenty of action to witness. We have a couple of battles happening in the mid pack as well. Taking a look at the standings, we have Infant Eater, who is second with 217 points. A little bit of a comfortable gap right ahead of El Capitan, 198 points. And we actually have Hoven Rally, who moved up 2 positions past MJW and DRS Maestro, who's unable to finish the race last week due to circumstances. But yeah, but looks like we do have our first driver to cross in the line and puts in a 129.8. That is Infant Eater. Atron just about now to cross the line is going to put in a 129.1. And from what I see, I just want to make sure Feeding Me Scotch is able to join in. Looks like I see no messages. Okay. And in terms of the Constructors' Championship, so McLaren looking like they're going to secure it. They do have quite a lead of a total of 431 points. That is Atron and Tafur who are present here today. And we do have the Alpine team, which is DRS Maestro and Escargo with a total of 307 points. That is a 124-point gap. So quite a big gap. So yeah, Tafur and Atron just having to make sure they secure some points here. And yeah, they'll be locking in another title trophy there. But we are riding on board with DRS Maestro, who had a phenomenal start last week in Silverstone. Looks like he is going to be running into a little bit of traffic here, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, looks like that. The driver going right onto the grass and making sure that DRS Maestro is not impeded. But yeah, DRS Maestro, who last week put in a P6 in qualifying, but somehow managed to climb himself up to, I believe, second in the first lap. So yeah, phenomenal driver with incredible pace. Unfortunately, a little bit of of no luck. And ooh, looks like the Ice Maestro going a little bit wide right there. I do know he was telling me to keep the camera off him, and as that happens, there's Maestro invalidating. And funny enough, in the same corner that he actually invalidated, I believe, 2 times in Division One, as he was reserving for that day. But we do have his teammate who is going to cross the line, is going to put in a 130.8. That is Escargo in the Alpine. And Escargo, who has put in quite the work the second half of the season. Escargo, who's been on the podium, if I'm not mistaken, 4 out of the last 5 times, has done an amazing job, and honestly looking forward to seeing what he's able to do next season. And hopefully not this, going onto the gravel. But as I mentioned, we did have a wet qualifying session in Division 1, and that was actually, looking at the fastest lap, we had a 122.0 of a qualifying lap, and that was done by MK7 Hitch. So yeah, phenomenal lap time for MK7 Hitch there on Monday. If you guys missed out on the stream, that is available on our channel, so you can take a look at that and give us commentators and admins a little bit of a thumbs up to give us some support. Let's see, we still have a couple of drivers who have yet to put in a lap time. I do believe Hovind Rally in the Williams is putting in a lap. And so Hovind Rally, who also last week, an amazing performance, gave Antron quite the battle throughout the whole race, and Hovind Rally finishing in second. Amazing job. And yeah, always great to see Hovind Rally on the podium. He's a phenomenal driver, so yeah, I can't wait to see what he's able to put in this race. But keeping an eye on him. So as I mentioned before, it is going to be a dry race. So I am curious to know how the setups, how our drivers adjusted in terms of the setup. And looks like Feed Me Scotch having issues with taking control of the car. Give me one good second. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I know a few of our drivers, or a few drivers, are usually not aware that you can actually take control of the car when you're spectator mode. So hopefully, Feed Me Scotch is able to join into the car he's assigned to. But Hovind Rally, who crossed the line, puts in a 128.8. And Infiniter, who looks like we missed that, has actually put in a provisional pole of a 127.3. So really nice lap time from Infiniter there. And I do see we have a couple of drivers who are moving up. So El Capitan, who is up to 5th now at the moment. But yeah, we do have 4 drivers who have yet to put in a lap time. And right as I switched over to the Ice Manager, I can already hear him blaming me for for keeping the camera on him in these moments. Which, DRS, I do apologize, but Maestro is still going to cross the line, puts himself in 5th, so pushing El Capitan down to 129.8. And so plenty of room for improvement from the Maestro, who, yeah, went a tad bit wide right there at the end, but I'm pretty sure he could put in a really good lap in the next upcoming minutes. But we do have Mr. Consistent here reserving in the Ferrari. That is Paulie D, who unfortunately had to back down to reserve due to a couple things. But yeah, always great to see him back on the track. Has been present these last 2 races. Hopefully we can see him full-time next season once again. But Paulie D, who is going to cross the line, and we'll see what he's able to put in. And it is going to be a 120.7, so it actually pushes him up to the first row, right next to Infant Eater. And looks like Yeah, we do have Feed Me Scotch who has successfully joined into the Ferrari team. So, yeah, big welcome to you. This is your debut for ERA, so we're looking forward to seeing you on the track and hopefully you have a really good race. But it is a very technical track from what we've seen with the other three groups. It is. I already saw a couple of drivers very nervous about this about this race, and I don't blame them. It's not not the most easiest track, as I mentioned in the other streams. It's not my favorite, so yeah, I can understand the nerves and the hesitance when it comes to racing here. But looking to see who is starting a lap. Actually, looks like Kern Dog crossing the line and putting himself up to fifth. And Kern Dog, who joined less than half a season into this race and has done a really amazing job these last two races. I believe he got fastest lap last week. Uh, was a little bit unlucky in the first two races he participated in, but turning those DNFs into points. And I can see Infinite Eater mentioning 100%. I'm assuming he's talking about the difficulty of this track. And for those who are joining in for the first time, it's our drivers are racing with no assists at all, so that includes no racing line. And yeah, very talented group of drivers. Of course, this is Division 2, so we do often see mistakes. Mistakes happen they do in real motorsports. So yeah, just a big reminder if any incidents happen, and this is directed to our drivers, if any incidents happen, then just report them, and stewards will handle the rest. So please don't take any matters into your own hands. But we do have DRS Maestro, and as I kept the camera off him, puts in a provisional pole position of 126.7. And we do have his teammate Escargo, who is looking to put in a lap. It looks like it's raining a little bit less than it was at the start of the race. And DRS Maestro saying thank you for not watching. So listen, if you stay on pole position, I'm going to have to keep an eye on you throughout the first probably 10 laps. But yeah, it does look like the track is a little bit more drier than it was at the start. And looking at Escargo, who is finishing up here in Sector 2, we'll see how much he's able to improve. And actually, no, looks like he hasn't. Yeah, actually, looks like he's currently on a banker lap, so he'll probably be starting soon. Let's see, we do have quite a few drivers who are currently on an out lap. Paffernick's currently on his lap. And so we'll keep an eye on him here, finishing up in Sector 1 to see how much time he's able to put up. And as I see, I believe Escargo has just started his as well. So unfortunately, Mini Tony not here today to give me a little bit of an update in terms of who else is up on their time. But hopefully, Mini Tony could be here next week for the finale. We're looking forward to seeing that. And so Havernick's with quite a bit of traffic up ahead. Looks like that is going to be the McLaren who, actually the Red Bull who gets out the way, does have, might be, actually looks like that is Paulie D. But looking at everybody else, Escargo, who appears to be up by 7/10. And we did actually have quite a few drivers who reserved for Division 1 on Monday. And I just want to take a quick look at their qualifying time. So, for example, DRS Maestro, who put in a 124.4 on Monday. So 2 seconds, I do believe the weather was a lot worse here than it was on Monday. Well, it looks like El Capitan has actually managed to put himself up into third right there on the second row. So he has improved on his lap. Escargo, who is just wrapping up, using all the battery he can to cross the line and put in a 125.8. So really great lap time there from Escargo. And yeah, looks like the track is drying out because all the faster times are coming up. So Infinite Eater 125.1, stealing that provisional pole from Escargo. It's like all the drivers currently on a cool down lap. I think DRS Meister trying to catch up to the line. Good sir, please be careful to not run into the boards. But quiet yet sneaky, leader lead bag. Ooh, this might actually be his best qualifying throughout the season, I think. Putting himself currently, well, was in sixth, now in seven. Looks like we did have Hoven Rally come back up into third. And so, yeah, we do have less than half a minute left into the qualifying session. So all the drivers looking to put in that lap. And we do have leader Liebag who is finishing here in sector 2 and looks like he's actually going to be up by a tenth. So a tenth might not be enough to get past Fat Angel. However, we do have still the third sector. We never know if he's able to pick up that pace here in these final corners. But yeah, a little bit of a drier line. Leader Liebag, a little bit of a lockup and going a tad bit deep, but still not invalidating his lap time. And so leader Liebag in the V-carb is going to put in a 1:27.4. It does improve, unfortunately not enough to move up a position. Ooh, and it looks like we have Hafernix who has invalidated Hover Rally, who might be looking to improve even more. And ooh, locking up and going the wrong way. Hopefully he doesn't get disqualified. There we go. Perfect. And unfortunately there for Hover Rally. DRS Maestro, who is also putting in a lap time. I do believe Atron, who appears to be up on his time. We'll take a look at our championship winner. So Atron, who's been on every podium this season except the one, and that was in Belgium, where he actually got outside the top 10. In 11th he finished. But Atron is going to cross the line, is going to put in a 1:25.5, so 4/10 slower than Infant Eater. And I do believe this might actually be Infant Eater's first pole position here for this season. I could be wrong. Oh, actually, no. Infant Eater actually got pole position on the first race this season. So yeah. So Infant Eater, this is his second pole position for the season. So let me just make sure I get all of this information for the chat. Alrighty, so our starting grid for round 11, which I'm going through this quick. We have Infant Eater starting on pole position. Right next to him, we have Atron. In third, we have Escargo, El Capitan in fourth, DRS Maestro in fifth, Hafernix sixth, Hoven Rally seventh, Paulie in eighth, MJW ninth, Fat Angel 10, Leader Leebag 11, Chernobyl 12, Kern Dog 13, Guardians 14 to Fur, and we'll look over the rest afterwards. Unfortunately, I only have two hands, and yeah, for that. This is when I'm gonna tell Mini Tony I do need him here in the booth. Yeah, we'll look right back into it. So yeah, we have 13th was Current Dog, 14 Guardians, Tafur 15, Hobby Races 16, Armanson 17, and Feed Me Scotch in 18. So yeah, that is our starting grid. Big reminder to the drivers to please not ready up. I know we have one new driver here, so hopefully he got the message not to initiate the timer. I know sometimes we have a little bit of confusion in terms of that league rule. But actually, no, it looks like he acknowledged it, gave me a thumbs up. So yeah, we do appreciate that. But in terms of the strategy call, so yes, we do like to give about 3 to 5 minutes for all our drivers to secure their strategies, adjust any fuels, any tweaks that they can, as they do have Park Firm on. Uh, I am curious to know how if our drivers opted for a balanced setup in terms of the wet qualifying and the dry race, or just opted to have a full dry setup in preparation for the race. Um, in terms of the strategy call, we have seen the one stop work perfectly here. Um, Mediums to hards, hards to mediums. We've seen quite a number of the reverse strategies in terms of starting with the hard compounds. So wouldn't be surprised if we saw a couple of drivers opting for that for this race. And of course, safety car is possible. So will be good to see how our drivers are able to adapt in terms of safety cars coming out. Hopefully, not due to anything crazy, but yeah, as a big reminder to our drivers, please, for lap one, especially turn one, it's a very narrow track, very technical track. So I already know a few of them were already worried about the first corner. So you know what, just grab a partner, hold hands into the first three corners. Just take it easy for the first opening lap. After that, you could go wild. But but yeah, let me just take a quick look at the Discord chat. And I did also want to give a big thank you to our subscribers. So we actually have now officially 300 subscribers on YouTube. So we do appreciate that. Um, and hopefully we get more. Hopefully you guys really enjoy our racing even further for our next season. So yeah, we do appreciate all the subs. I see a little bit of sportsmanship as well. Infant Eater giving his actually no, Kern Dog giving his teammate Infant Eater a little bit of a cheer for the pole position. Telling him to go win it. Alrighty, so they do have the ready up, so they should be starting the timer. And as a big reminder, we don't have formation lap on, so they'll be diving straight into the race. So to our drivers who are listening, as I said before, just please be sensible in the first corner. Stewards would like to avoid any any more incidents coming into the end of the season. Alrighty, so it looks like we have two lights. We're starting now, four lights, five lights, and off they go. And is Infant Eater going to have a good start to defend that starting position? And looks like Escargo actually already going for the attack, getting the move done on Atron. And looks like Infant Eater trying to defend. The inside is going to remain ahead. Really good positioning from Infant Eater. And we do have a couple of movements happening in the back as well. So looks like Pauly D getting the move done on Hoven Rally as well. And I do believe MJW putting a little bit of pressure there on Hoven Rally. Looks like he's going to stay right behind. And a couple of positions happening, position changes happening in the back as well. Leader Leebag getting the move done on Fat Angel. And yeah, looks like it was a really good, clean start. All the drivers remaining really close together. And we'll put all this information up. And Leader Leebag actually looking to make another move and has made the move on MJW. So Leader Leebag up 2 positions there. And we have a couple of gaps closing in as well. Pauly D, a little bit of a lockup right there behind Hafrenix, but nothing happening there. And looking at the strategy calls, we have quite a few drivers opting for the hard compounds. As I mentioned, the reverse strategy working really well in this on this track. I see we have a couple of movements happening. Chernobyl Clocks might be letting way for our drivers, our Manson and Javi Races, who've moved up a position to get the overtake done. Looking up ahead, we have Atron, who appears to be closing in on the back of Escargo. Escargo taking a little bit too much of the curve, but straightening the car really well there to avoid any further incident. But leader Liebag already picking up a 3-second penalty there on the second lap of the race. And so, yeah, track limits on this track are going to be very tricky. We have seen in the other three groups, pretty much more than half of the grid have picked up penalties, especially the pit entry penalty, the 10-second penalty. That is, yeah, something to keep an eye on, something to have in mind for our drivers. We'll see if this group is able to avoid it, but keeping an eye on everybody else. We do have DRS now enabled on this lap, and looks like Hobby Race is joining in on the penalty party. So Hobby Race is picking up a 3-second penalty there. And oh, Atron very close to the rear of our Scargo right there. So Atron, who has opted to start on the hard compounds, has both Infinite Eater and Escargo with the mediums right ahead. And so if no safety car comes out, I think Atron might be in a really good position. But Escargo already looking to make the moves, gets the move done, and is now our race leader, having gotten the move on Infinite Eater. And Atron now putting in a little bit of pressure on Infinite Eater as well. And is he going to look to make the overtake here? No, he's going to back out, which honestly is very wise. Being very cautious there. And so we do only have one DRS zone on this track, so it's mainly going to be the area where we'll be seeing the overtakes happening. Of course, we have seen overtakes happen in other corners, but probably the safest spot is going to be the DRS. But looking at the gaps, we do have DRS Maestro putting in a little bit of pressure there on El Capitan. And DRS Maestro, who actually also started on the hard compound, so I do believe he started on the hard compounds last time and had a little bit of a spin, hopefully not jinxing him, but looking up ahead, we have Infinite Eater trying to defend that position against Atron, who is going to have the DRS here. And with a really good exit there, Atron so has used up the majority of his battery. And with the help of the DRS, is going to get the overtake on Infinite Eater, who is also going to get overtaken by El Capitan and possibly DRS Maestro as well. So Infinite Eater losing 3 positions there. And looks to be looking for that little opening there on the inside of DRS Maestro. Looks like he's going to back out of that. So really good racing by these drivers, very close racing, and I don't think anybody has actually pit for any change of wing from what I've seen. But we do have a little bit of a DRS train here from Escargo all the way down to Hoven Rally, with MJW having a little bit of a gap there behind of Hoven Rally, over 4, almost 5 seconds behind. Does have our Manton less than a second behind them. And the penalties keep on coming out. So lap 4, we already have 4 drivers with 3-second penalties. That is Hafrenix, leader Liebag, oof, and that is Scargo going to get a tad bit wide right there. And Atron once again with a really good exit there. And is he going to be looking to make a move? I believe Escargo not using the battery to defend, so most likely trying to preserve those tires. And I do see we have a couple of overtakes happening at the same time, so if I do miss your overtake, I do apologize. It's actually been a while since I've done Division 2 on my own, so I don't prefer picking up a 3-second penalty as well. So yeah, quite a number of penalties coming out, and with how close it's looking at the moment, if it stays like this all throughout the race, looks like, oh, and that is Escargo who is on the wall, and I believe that is going to bring out a safety car. No, looks like that's actually going to be a virtual. And yes, his wheel, remaining on the board right there. Yeah, very unfortunate for Escargo, who was actually looking quite solid for the first couple of laps, and looks like that has brought out a safety car. And yeah, Scargo, who was a little bit wiggly when I was watching him lap prior, might have struggled a little bit there on the exit. Um, but yeah, that has brought out a safety car. Very unfortunate for Scargo, who's had a really good last couple of races. Has been on the podium a few times now. But it looks like we do have only one driver who has opted to pit, and that's actually El Capitan. And it looks like a few in the midfield as well. So El Capitan switching out all those medium tires, looking to switch over to the hards. And looks like actually no, looks like El Capitan has picked up damage. So I do wonder if it was just close racing from between Escargo and El Capitan, or maybe just El Capitan catching Escargo who maybe lost control. Not exactly sure what happened, of course, but yeah, very unfortunate for Escargo, who actually warned me before the race that he wasn't feeling that confident for Imola. But this does look good for our two South African drivers up in the front, Atron and DRS Maestro, who started on the hard compounds. And do want to give a little bit of a shout out to El Capitan, because we have seen him last week, for example. Last week had to pit on the first lap and somehow managed to take his mediums 18 laps all the way to P6, back to P6. So yeah, we have seen incredible pace from El Capitan, great management of tires. So yeah, curious to know how he is going to be able to manage those hard compounds, possibly all the way to the end of the race, or maybe opt for a two-stop strategy. But yeah, we'll see how this race plays out. Of course, you never know. Another safety car might come out. Hopefully not, but alrighty, so we are waiting for the rest of the grid to catch up. We have a little bit of a gap between Chernobyl Clocks and El Capitan, so about 8 seconds for them to catch up. And oh, Hobby Race is actually picking up another 3-second penalty on under the safety car. So yeah, curious to know. Of course, as if you're tuning in for the first time, as I mentioned before, we do have no racing line on this division. So yeah, it is very tricky. I know a couple of drivers struggle a little bit with that, and honestly, big respects to them for learning their braking points and trying to adjust with the no racing line. But yeah, not an easy thing. But we are still waiting for the rest of the grid to catch up. Looks like now from Tefer all the way to Feed Me Scotch. And a little bit of a... Actually, looks like we have safety car coming this lap, so we will be having green flags coming out soon. Atron is going to be leading the safety car restart, and as a big reminder to our leaders, please make sure the safety car goes in fully so the game doesn't slow you down once you accelerate. But looks like Atron has set off, and so DRS Maestro tailing right behind him. Pauly D might have had a little bit of a spin here. Not exactly sure if there was any contact, but Pauly D losing multiple positions, dropping down to 17th now. I do believe he is going into the pit. Has most likely picked up damage, and looks like I'm not going to get the full view of the car there, but yeah, most likely picking up damage. But looking back at our top four, who are all within less than a second, Hafernex, who has opened up quite the gap ahead of Hoven Rowley, now over a second. And so DRS Maestro and Atron, both of these drivers who have had a few moments throughout the season, and including last season having battled with each other. But let's get this information up as well. Oh, it looks like we do have Hobby Races getting the overtake done on Chernobyl, who always tends to be very conservative and not really put in the fight at times, but does know how to get those overtakes done. But yeah, with Hobby Races with the 2 lamp old hard compounds, yeah, it looks like that wasn't going to be an easy fight there. But our Manson actually getting the overtake done on Chernobyl Clocks as well. And looks like up ahead, Fat Angel and Leader Leadbag, a little bit of a side-by-side battle here. Really nicely done between these two, giving each other just enough space. And looks like Fat Angel is still going to get the overtake done. El Capitan putting in the pressure and is going to make the move on the inside, gets the move done on Leader Leadbag. So El Capitan, who was one of our few drivers who pit in under the safety car, has already gotten the overtake done and looking to get another overtake on Fat Angel up ahead, less than a second right behind them. And looks like Tafur picking up a 3-second penalty as well. So yeah, we have quite a. It looks like we have 2 drivers at 6 seconds, Hobby Races and Tafur. And Current Dog joining in as well, a 3-second penalty there for multiple warnings. But looking at the gap ahead, looks like Atron has increased the gap ahead of DRS Maestro, and Hov and Rowley actually getting the move done on Hafrenix here. Oh, and I do see we have yellow flags. I believe that is... Ooh, that's Current Dog struggling to get back on the track there. But we do have a couple overtakes happening as well. Our Manson looking to make the move done on Hobby Races there, and both of them giving each other just enough space, gets the move done. Leader Leadback falling right behind as well. And yeah, so much action happening all at once. So we still have quite a few gaps that are very close together. DRS Maestro still tailing right behind of Atron, and we have had a few gaps open up from second all the way down to 8th, but Leader Levi looking to close the gap there behind of our Manson. Although our Manson with 5-lap younger tires than Leader Levi, so with a much better advantage here. But we do have Feed Me Scotch looking to get the overtake done on Chernobyl Clocks, and is going to get the overtake. And oof, going a tad bit wide right there. And so Chernobyl and Guardian's going to go right through. And Feed Me Scotch struggling a little bit there with the traction, but doing well to keep the car straight. And I do think the DRS Maestro has now actually closed in a little bit more on the back of Atron. Both of them actually on equal battery. And so DRS Master, who's actually been on the podium 4 times this season, has done an amazing job. And I believe that was Atron who lost control of the car right there and dropping now down to 3rd. And might be struggling with those hard compounds now. And so, yeah, as I said, our DRS Maestro has only been on the podium 4 times, looking to possibly get his 5th, although I can already hear him telling me to stop jinxing him. But now Atron having to put in more work and is like a rocket shooting straight past Infant Eater and back up into 2nd. Now has to put in even more work, considering he does have now 2 seconds to try to catch up to DRS Maestro. I do see we have yellow flags. I think that might be Current Dog, who, yes, currently off the track there. And looks like Atron extending the gap ahead of the Haas of Infinite Eater. So now over a second has closed up just a little bit there behind of DRS Maestro. So yeah, just has to be cautious on making sure not to wear out those tires too much, as we have seen a couple of our drivers, especially in Tier 1, who uh, kind of overuse those hard compounds and shoop, straight into the wall. It looks like both of our drivers managing the tires well. Capitan has now closed in right behind of Hoban Rally. And looks like we only have two gaps that are quite close to each other. That's El Capitan and Javi Races, who is hunting down our Manton as well. So El Capitan, who, yeah, showing incredible pace, having a pit a lap earlier, and I do think that is another yellow flags, and that is actually another safety car instead. And that is due to Guardians, who having a little bit of a spin right there. I do believe he definitely has wing damage from what I saw on the the debris on the track. And yep, Guardians pulling the Voldemort look. Unfortunately, no wing, only has the nose. And this actually helps out Paulie D, who had to pit, not exactly sure why, but did have that wing damage from the safety car restart. And so was over 39 seconds behind Fat Angel. And so now able to catch up to the rest of the group. And so we do have our drivers in the front already switching over to a fresh set of tires. So DRS Maestro now with a new set of mediums. We have Atron as well. Hobby Race is actually choosing to stay out, so has 8-lap-old hard compounds. And might be a little bit of a gamble, probably expecting another safety car to come out and prioritizing track position here. And so we've had we've had a different race leader in in less than the first half of the race. We had Escargo, we had Infant Eater, we had Atron, we had DRS Mansion. Now we have Hobby Races. And so, yeah, quite a lot of action happening in this race. Alrighty, so we are still just waiting for our group to catch up and just looking at the position changes. So, of course, Heavy Races who hasn't pit, but of course, anything can happen. Uh, Especially considering they are a fresh set of tires that were switched to into on the first safety car. So Heavy Races, who is actually up by 15 positions, leader Leadbag up 9 positions, DRS Manstro up 2. And looking at the back, we have our Manson, who has climbed up 8 positions as well. So quite a bit of movement happening all throughout the grid. And looking at the live chat, I do see. Let me just take a quick look at Escargo's message. And yeah, it looks like might have been a little bit of a contact between Capitan and Escargo. But of course, yeah, just report it, report out your incidents. That applies to all the drivers here. And yeah, stewards will look into it. Of course, mistakes happen, as I mentioned earlier in this race. They happen even in real motorsports. We see it all the time on the F1 races. So yeah, just make sure you report it, and the stewards will handle the rest. But looks like the grid has caught up. I do believe we'll be having safety car in this lap, and yes, we are. So Hobby Races, who is going to be our leader here for the safety car restart, has to give the safety car enough time to get back into the pit. As I mentioned before, you want to give enough time for it to enter before you accelerate. You don't want the game to slow you down. So yeah, just something to keep an eye on. But Hobby Races has set off now, and looks like leader Levi looking to use that battery, trying to close in on the back of the Williams. DRS Maestro closing in as well, using up that battery, and looks like he's going to get the overtake done on leader Leibag. Is he going to try making the move on Hobby Races? No, although looks like that was a little bit of a lockup there for leader Leibag, trying to avoid the rear there of DRS Maestro, but Atron going a little bit off track right there, but is going to stay right on the track. Or returning back to the track, but looking at the groups ahead, DRS Maestro actually getting the move done on Hobby Races. So DRS now getting rid of the two drivers ahead of him with the older set of tires, and so now with a little bit of a gap there ahead of Atron, who just actually got the overtake done on Hobby Races. And looks like Hobby Races not really looking to put up much of a fight between those with the much fresher tires, which as I mentioned, most likely prioritizing track position here due to the penalties. But yeah, it looks like Antron, Infant Eater, and Hoven Rally getting past Hobby Races. Hobby Races also playing the team game, not getting in the not getting in the way of Hoven Rally, his teammate. But we do have El Capitan, who is closing in and is going to get the overtake done on Hobby Races. And looks like Haffernick's going to be tailing along as well. And so Haffernick's actually getting the move done on the inside there. And as he does that, looks like he picks up a 3-second penalty. Tafur as well, a 3-second penalty. Ooh, I could see why. Jeez. And so Atron keeping it close right behind of DRS Maestro. We have less than half of the race left. And looks like we do have yellow flags. That actually appears to be Feed Me Scotch, who I do think that may have been a reset to track, according to the track map, but I'll take a look at that afterwards. But I do want to give a shout out to the other Ferrari, Pauly D, who from P17 now climbing up to P12, and does have leader Leibag right ahead of him with the older set of 16-lap old tires. But looking up here in the front, Atron getting the move done on DRS Maestro. So yeah, looks like these two are going to be the main battle here for today. Infinator, who has dropped back by over 2 seconds there. Leader Leibag picking up a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And so as I mentioned, yeah, that pit lane is quite tricky. And looks like Infant Eater looking to get the move done here on the inside of Hoven Rally, who doesn't put much of a fight there. And looks like he's going to get that position done nice and easily. But we do have El Capitan, who has picked up a 3-second penalty as well. So the top 4 clear of the penalty. Although, of course, you never know if our drivers are able to appeal those penalties, considering we do know how the game tends to be. I do see we have yellow flags. Doesn't look to be like anybody's off the track, but Happy Race is a little bit slow right there. I do wonder if he was trying to give way to our Manson, but Looks like we have a couple of side-by-side battling as well as Pauly D gets the move done ahead and puts himself up to 10th. Javi races going off into the gravel and losing the car there as we see Kern Dog getting the move done on our Manson. So I think our Manson might actually be the one to have damage considering, yeah, is missing both his end plates. Yeah, I was wondering why all the drivers are being very cautious amongst each other, but yeah, it looks like our Manson, who was a little bit slow there among the group, having to pit there, but yeah, very unfortunate for our Manson. Looking up ahead, we do have a lag, but we do have Hoban Rally, who is tailing right on the back of Hafernix now. And whoa, just nail. Oh man, sniffing the the gearbox of Hafernix there. Jeez. And so Hafernix looks like they actually have the lapped car of Feed Me Scotch, who actually does well to stay on a consistent line there and not get in the way. But Hafernix and Hoban Rally now getting past the lapped car, and Hafernix with over a second behind of El Capitan. And with nothing in the tank to try getting as close as possible, but El Capitan closing in on the back of Infiniter. And both Atron and DRS Maestro still keeping the pace. DRS Maestro with quite a comfortable gap ahead of Infiniter of over 4.5 seconds. And considering these drivers in the back are battling as well, it might be opening up the gap even further. But we do have Hoban Rally, who is still looking to get the move done on Hafernix, who does have, I believe it was 6 seconds of penalties. And so looking up ahead, DRS Maestro still within the DRS of Atron and has to have a really good exit here to try closing in to make an attack. Although Atron, who I have mentioned this before, does a phenomenal job to manage that battery charge, and looks like he's going to stay ahead of the Alpine. But in the back, we do have Hoban Rally, who appears to be much closer than DRS was on Atron. And is Hoban Rally going to try getting the overtake done? Doesn't have any battery to use, but looking to make a move on the outside. But Hafernix doing really well to keep his car in place and defend that position. So Hoban Rally remaining in 6th. And it looks like still a little bit battling between these two, as Hoban Rally has managed to get the overtake done on Hafernix now. And again, a little bit of a shout out to Pauly D, who dropped down all the way to the end of the grid and has moved himself up already to P9 now at the moment, and looks to be closing in on Fat Angel as well. And so we do have very few laps remaining now. We do have still Hafernix on the back of Hoban Rally. DRS Maestro closing in on Atron, but not going to be close enough to get the overtake done here before the corner. And yeah, Atron remaining ahead. Hafernix getting the move done on Hoban Rally. And so yeah, we have 11 laps remaining, including this lap, and all the drivers doing a phenomenal job. Looking back at the position changes, so DRS Maestro doing really well to climb up 3 positions there. We have a couple of drivers who actually moved up 3 positions, Current Dog, Guardians, and Tuffer as well. And MJW and Fat Angel with those 2 position gains as also. And El Capitan, who actually hasn't lost a position, uh, securing still a P4 at the moment. I do see we have yellow flags, and that might actually be Hoven Rally, who appears to be off the track. Hopefully the game doesn't disqualify him, waiting, yeah, making sure all the drivers are able to get past safely. And yeah, honestly, we do appreciate that, considering it is a very narrow track, and we don't want to see all the drivers piled up in one part of the track due to an incident. And hopefully he actually didn't pick up any damage, which looks like he hasn't. So Hoven Rally, yeah, unfortunately moving down to P14, but looking up ahead, El Capitan has actually managed to get the overtake done on Infant Eater. Although, as I mentioned before, El Capitan does have that 3-second penalty, so Infant Eater looking to stay within that penalty and try securing a podium finish here. And right as I switched over to Hafernix picking up another 3 seconds, so that is going to be 9 seconds in total. And so MJW with a possibility to secure a top 5 finish here if he remains within the penalty gap of Hafernix. Fat Angel just within that range, but does look like Hafernix might be struggling a tad bit here. Does have only 10 lap old hard compounds, but as I mentioned, it is a tricky track. But we do have Infant Eater, who is still remaining close right behind of the Kick Sauber. DRS Maestro still hanging on right behind, less than a second behind of Voltron. And I do see that is yellow flags. That appears to be the other Williams of Javi Races, who does have the leaders right behind him. And we do also appreciate him being aware of his surroundings and getting out the way there. Oi, and in a really, a really tough spot there. Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't get disqualified for going the wrong way. It does have quite a number of drivers passing by, so yeah, it does actually get disqualified. So man, that is gutting. But hopefully the game doesn't bring back his AI. Jesus Christ. Gave me a little bit of a heart attack there. Jeez. Yeah, very unfortunate for Javi Races, who was just being considerate and making sure he didn't get in the way of the drivers that were coming around. But yeah, anyways, looking at our top runners, so Infant Eater getting the move back on El Capitan. And looking at any gaps closing in the back, we do have Fat Angel, who unfortunately isn't closing the gap now, considering he does have those 13-lap-old mediums. Kerndog with the 11-lap-old hard compounds. Although Kerndog does have that 3-second penalty, so yeah, position to gain here for Fat Angel here in these final laps. And Hoven Rally picking up a 3-second penalty now, and has actually managed to pick up the fastest lap as well, 117.8. And for those who aren't aware, that is an extra 2 points, but only if you're within the top 10. So Hoven Rally currently sitting in 14th, would not be securing those extra points. But looks like we do have DRS Maestro, who is now closing in on the back of the McLaren. And can he look to make the move done? And looks like DRS Maestro gets the pass. And so DRS Maestro back to being our new race leader here for the final lap. So has to make sure he defends well here against Autron. And looks like we do have El Capitan right behind, not close enough to get the overtake down on Infant Eater, although we do have the other Kick Sauber who actually has gotten the overtake done on Polly D, who is actually switching over to a fresh set of mediums. So yeah, looks like Polly D forced to do a two-stop here. And so we have 7 laps remaining. And has been an action-packed race. Looking at the position changes. DRS Maestro now up to 4 positions. And we have Kern Dog currently with the highest 6 position gains there for the race at the moment. And so Atron within the DRS of, ironically, DRS Maestro, but it looks like he's not going to be able to get the overtake done here before the first corner. We do have El Capitan, who appears to be closer, and does get the overtake done ahead of Infinite Eater, so now pushing himself back up into third. And, ooh, El Capitan appeared to go a little bit wide right there, but looks like he's going to keep his position there. Infinite Eater looking to get the advantage there on the inside, but slowing down. But yeah, we'll say it appears to be our 2 main battles happening at the moment. So the battle for first and the battle for third. As I mentioned, yes, El Capitan does have that 3-second penalty, but you never know if they can appeal that penalty. So we will be looking at the track position here. But DRS Maestro, who has now managed to... Ooh, looks like we have yellow flags, and that's El Capitan, who has gone off the track and unfortunately losing 2 positions there to Infant Eater and Hafrenix. Does have a little bit of a gap ahead of MJW, about 6 seconds now, but very unfortunate for El Capitan, who I don't think there was any contact, but it might have just been a little bit of a driver mistake. We have seen a few lockups into that tight chicane in Sector 3. But looking, it looks like that has reduced our 2 battle to just 1 at the moment between Atron and DRS Maestro here for the final laps. Atron, who is still trying to catch up to DRS Maestro, who has been keeping the pace here these last 2 laps. And Atron, who actually has a lap car behind him, which is leader Leadbag, who's going to have a nice little view of the battle in front of him. And so Atron's still within the DRS of Maestro, but quite far back. We do have Guardians, who appears to be less than a second behind a Fat Angel. Although I do see that is yellow flags there in Sector 3, and that actually appears to be Infant Eater, who has now lost the position to Hafrenix. So Infant Eater, who... both Infant Eater and El Capitan having a loss of control there, it seems. And does now see his rival once again throughout this whole race. And looks like El Capitan looking to get the overtake done on Infant Eater, who appears to actually be missing his left end plate. And so El Capitan looking to make a move on the outside, and can he make the move stick? He does, and so up to P4 El Capitan goes. So very unfortunate for Infant Eater, who has that missing end plate. This is not a track you want to be struggling on in terms of turning. Ooh, especially here on this corner, and yeah, Infant Eater going super slow, trying to make sure he stays within the limits there. And actually, he hasn't even Yeah, looks like he takes that quite well. I was gonna say he has an even difficult corner coming up right in front of him. But anyways, looking at the top runners, we have Atron, who is still trying to close in the gap behind of DRS Maestro, has 3 laps remaining, including this one. And as we look onto him, Fat Angel actually picking up a 3-second penalty. So we have quite, yeah, as I said, with the other 3 groups, we had pretty much over half the grid picking up penalties. And as I say that, Hafernix picking up another 3 seconds. So that's 12 seconds in total for Hafernix. And if my math is mathing, that can actually push him down all the way to 6, considering Kerndog does have that penalty as well. And looks like MJW actually getting the overtake done on the outside and putting himself up to 5th. And yeah, most likely Infinite Eater just trying to keep the car running and try having it cross the line there. And he is going to have his teammate approaching as well. But looking up in the front, leader Liebag appears to have gotten the overtake done on Atron there. And Kerndog as well, getting past his teammate. I think leader Liebag just trying to move to the side, make sure he gets out the way there for Atron. And ooh, Atron going wide into the gravel, and I think he might have gotten a little bit thrown off there from leader Liebag, but of course we'll take a look afterwards. But DR Smasher, who has now extended the gap to over 2 seconds ahead of Atron, and looking at the gap behind Infinite Eater, does have that missing end play, but has a little bit of a comfortable. Ooh, and I take that back. I think Infinite Eater may have thought he was being lapped, or just may have overshot the curve right there, but looks like the Ferrari gonna get right through. And we have a couple drivers having a little bit of a taste of the gravel. Guardians going off track right there. And so we are currently on the penultimate lap. DRS Maestro now starting the final lap. He does have Atron trying to charge his way back up. It doesn't have any battery to use, but we have seen Atron pull quite a performance all throughout the season. And if my math is mathing, I do believe MJW's in a possibility here to secure a podium finish if he remains within the 12 seconds of Hafernix. I think he's just about out of it, but pick up the pace a little bit here on these final corners. Probably try securing that podium. But we do have DRS Maestro, who remains over a second and a half ahead of Atron. And looking to secure another win here for our no assist division. Has to make sure he keeps his composure here for the final laps. Has just enough battery here to use to defend the position. Atron trying to catch up. And a little bit of a lockup there for DRS Maestro. And will this, a little bit of a bump as well from Atron, but will this be taken all the way to the line? Looks like no, DRS Maestro is going to stay right ahead and is going to take the win. Atron super close to the back of DRS Maestro. I think one more lap and he possibly could have had him, but so we do have Hafernix, who's about to cross the line, does have the 12-second penalty. El Capitan with the 3-second penalty as well. Atron leaving as a big reminder to our drivers. I mentioned this in the other streams. I don't think people listen. Please wait until after the race results are shown on the screen, because then us admins do have to manually adjust the race results. We do appreciate. Please have a little bit of consideration for us who put in a lot of work, especially on the side. But looks like Hafernix. Actually, no, it will be El Capitan who is in third. And looks like that is going to be our final grid for the race. And I can already see Hafernix mentioning Track limits were probably a pain. Oh, and looks like Leader Leadback may have left the session. Ay ay ay. Yeah, for the love of God, drivers, please just wait until we actually finish the race. I would appreciate that. Uh, I don't think I can go back on the stream. All right, let's see. Hopefully, these were the accurate results. Yes, so we have DRS Manager for the win. Right next to him in second, Atron and El Capitan. So both of these three drivers sharing the podium for round 11, the penultimate race. We have our finale next week. In fourth, we have MJ. Sorry, in fourth, we actually have Hafrenix. Fifth, MJW. Sixth, Kern Dog, Infant Eater, Guardians, Poly D, Tuffer, Armanson, Hoven Rally, Fat Angel, Chernobyl, Feed Me Scotch. Big congratulations to you uh, for completing your first debut race with us. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you can have you'll be interested in a full time seat. Just let me know. And last leader lead bag in our two DNFs, Escargo and unfortunately Heavy Races, who was disqualified from the session. Um, yeah, big congratulations to our podium runners. Absolutely an incredible race, even on a difficult track. We do enjoy all the battles you guys were able to give us. Um, yeah, for some reason it still says race results. Anyways, yeah, big congratulations to all of our drivers, and we do appreciate all the feedback. So make sure if you're watching, give us a thumbs up. We like the like I said, we like the feedback. And so yeah, catch us next week for the final race. As I mentioned, our Division Two has already had their championship title already established by Otron. I do believe with this race, the McLaren team have actually secured and locked in their championship uh, title in the constructors. So yeah, mega congratulations to them. Phenomenal job from Tafur as well, who's improved this whole season. And yeah, thanks to all the drivers who participate. We look forward to next week. Everybody have a good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching from, and we'll catch you guys on the next race.